There was never a time in my life that I didn't know about Emunah. My mother used to take us to bazaars where we would sift through the beaver canoe clothing, trying to sell as much as we could sell to raise money for Emunah. My grandmother, my great aunts in New York would be making us Sister in Israel's. They'd send us badges. We would get school supplies every year as part of the New York campaign. It's just always been a part of my life.
Bracha comes by her volunteer work with Emunah genetically, if not baked into her DNA. And my grandmother, Rachel Besson Hoffman, was the first national president of Emunah Women. And then my mother, Marion Besson, took over from her. Growing up, Emunah Women was part of our household. The teas were in our home, the council meetings.
My mother certainly was an active participant in the Crown Heights chapter.
It's part of who we are as a family.
They say that the apple does not fall far from the tree, and so it is not surprising at all that Bracha is getting this award this evening. Bracha grew up in a home whose home was always filled with chesed and hachnasat archim and all ma'asim tovim.
It's hard to say how you model volunteerism other than by do it and show them what can and should be done without pushing. And we did that because we grew up that way. We both saw that our parents were always involved in doing for the community, for Emunah, for the state of Israel. And I think that these were important values that we tried to transmit to our children.
When I moved back to Toronto, I just had my fourth child. My mother and her friend Joyce Rifkin were talking about an Emunah event, and I happened to say something like, oh, I should get involved. The next thing I knew, I was on the scholarship committee and the board of Emunah, and that's where I've been ever since.
When I think of Bracha and the role she plays in Emunah, I think of an unbroken legacy. And she has been continuing on in the tradition in her family of giving back, of volunteering, specifically at Emunah.
One of the driving forces in Bracha's life is to help people. It's putting people in a place where they might be in a position of weakness, like we all are at certain times, and bring them to a position of comfort. So that might be visiting a friend who's at the hospital, cooking for people when they need a little help, and taking care of a friend's kids when they have something that they need to do. But she's also a huge believer in the power of community, and Emunah brings that out in her. Her work for Emunah allows her to do things that she can never do just on her own.
My mother's really busy. She has 5 kids, so she's always driving us places, picking up, carpooling, but she always volunteers and makes sure she has time to do stuff for Emunah.
I think volunteering was just a way of life, and it's something that was passed on to me and my siblings, that this is just an expectation that we are part of a community and we have a responsibility to that community to give back in whatever way we can. I started to get involved in Emunah because of my family's history with Emunah. I stayed involved with Emunah because I saw the commitment our staff and our volunteers have to providing not just the necessities of life to the children in daycares, for the elderly in the soup kitchens, but also to provide joy and happiness in their lives.
And she and Stephen are passing that on to their children as well, who, when they have a bar mitzvah or a bat mitzvah, are very aware of a chesed that they're supposed to do for someone else, and typically it does involve Emunah. So whether it's a financial piece or an emotional piece, Bracha is there with her whole heart, with her whole head, and with her whole energy.
We had the pleasure to go to Neve Michael for my son's bar mitzvah. We were able to celebrate with the children of Neve Michael. One of the most important things you see is really the smiles on their faces, walking around and celebrating their happiness to celebrate with us. And that was so special to see.
He wasn't yet leaning, but we were up on the bima and all the kids were all around us. And they pelted us with candies. I mean, those are hard candies. And it was a lot of fun. But the kids there had so much pleasure out of it. And Sammy and I were up on the bima together and we had so much fun with it. After the candies and after the service in the shul, we went outside, we all danced together. We had a chance to dance and just play with the kids, and not just to meet them on a one-on-one, but as a group, just to have fun.
It was, I think, heartwarming and inspiring for us to watch Bracha's kids interacting with the children there and being happy with them and playing with them and giving and understanding that they're kids with many, many things to be happy about and much good fortune. And and it's important to share with other kids.
I've had the pleasure of going to Neve Michael. You're able to see the joy and happiness on the kids' faces even then, when it's not a specific celebration, when it's just a day that's a part of their lives. And you think about where they came from and what they've been through, and yet they still have this sense of joy and happiness, and you see them interact with their staff and the volunteers there. And you can't help knowing that everything we do here has a purpose and is really accomplishing our goals.
The other driving force in Bracha's life is family. I mean, she has such a commitment from growing up from her own family and now what she brings to our family and our extended family. And I think her work with Emunah is a part of that, in that she wants to bring to others what they may not have and what has been huge support in her life. And in our own family, Bracha creates a sense of comfort from a position of strength, but she creates a sense of comfort for all of us that we can do what we need to do.
I think Bracha is an extremely giving person.
She is a person who acts with true kindness.
Bracha is the strength of the family. There's a time to think about things and a time to plan things and to talk about it, and then there's a time to do things. And when it comes time to do things, Bracha will make sure things get done quickly, well, efficiently, and effectively.
Because she throws herself completely into everything she's doing and makes sure she does it best, and she always has the best outcome possible. So it's really powerful and inspiring to watch.
When I think of Bracha, I think Kishma Ken Hi. She's a bracha, she's a blessing. That's all I can say.